One Man's Opinion. Today I am talking about Westport Country Playhouse's production of Native Gardens, written by Zacarias, directed by Joann M. Hunter, running through March 8th at the Playhouse at 25 Powers Court in Westport, Connecticut. Make my channel grow like a beautiful garden by becoming a patron over on my Patreon page, where you can, for as little as $1 a month, support my work here as well as my classic cinema podcast, Yesterday's Matinee, where patrons get early access to the latest episode, which is currently the 1929 film Un Chien Andalou. Thank you to my current patrons, especially my Neo and Hamilton tier patrons, and welcome to the new ones. A link will be in the description. This is my second time reviewing a production of Native Gardens, the previous one being the Iverton Playhouse production a few years back. It's a play with a good foundation, but it ends up petering out at the end with a cop-out ending. More on that later. The play revolves around two families, Frank and Virginia Butley, played by Adam Heller and Paula Leggett Chase, and Pablo and Tania Del Valle, played by Anthony Michael Martinez and Linedy Genao. I hope I pronounced that right. The Butley family are an affluent, retired white couple. Frank spends his time tending to his garden in the backyard, consisting of non-native species and using plenty of pesticides to kill off any bugs that may ruin his chances of having the garden win him an annual neighborhood gardening competition. The Valle family are new to the neighborhood, moving in next door. The house is a fixer-upper, and Tania sets out to tear out the remains of a garden and put in a native garden, flowers and plants that are indigenous to the region. Separating the two homes is an unsightly chain-link fence which the Del Valles propose removing, which the Butleys are initially excited about, but when the Del Valles look at the property line to lay down the new fence, they discover the Butleys' garden encroaches on the Del Valle property by 2 feet. On top of this, Pablo wants to host a barbecue the coming weekend for the partners of the law firm he was just hired at, and he wants the fence situation resolved before it takes place. After what amounts to about 15 to 20 minutes of setup is about 70 minutes of bitter rivalry as prejudices explode from both sides of the fence, from racism to ageism to classism and so forth. Probably the most prominent is the generational conflict between the baby boomers and millennials. It's a long-standing conflict that has garnered social awareness for maybe a decade at least at this point. Zacarias does a good job of playing up those prejudices for humor's sake, with broad dialogue that takes jabs at the absurdity of the conflict between the two. Tania and Virginia will sit down and start to have a decent conversation about women's rights when one phrase from one woman triggers the other, and the other retaliates, and things escalate. It's the sense of entitlement that both sides have that really make the conflict work and have us never take one side completely. This process is repeated in various capacities until the play just ends. The real problem with the ending is the resolution. It's there, but not in any satisfying way because we skip the entire process. Frankly, there's an easy solution to the story that came to me in the first 15 minutes when I saw it the original time. Let the Butleys have their garden now. They're older. They're either going to die before the Del Valles or move out. And once they prepare to do so, move the fence to its proper location. Easy fix. But I guess if the characters were that smart and accommodating, there wouldn't be a story to tell. Instead, we're given an ending with a resolution, but we don't see how the resolution happens. And it's quite disappointing, and it makes the last scene feel unearned. The cast is decent, but not great. I think some of this may have to do with the direction by Joann M. Hunter. The first few scenes when the Butleys and the Del Valles meet feel forced and overly melodramatic. I get the sense that it's supposed to be all airs of neighborly politeness, but it ends up feeling like the cast isn't play acting to each other, but play acting to the audience, and it feels fake. It's like the actors are trying to have the characters be fake to each other, but it just comes off fake to the audience. Once the conflict falls into place, there are some good performances, particularly from Adam Heller and Linedy Genao, who play the satire of the drama straight in one beat and then elevate it to 11 at the right moment. I feel Paula Leggett Chase and Anthony Michael Martinez, though, are mishandled at times, over-embellishing moments that would have landed better straight versus broad comic actions. The set design by Louizos is fantastic. The detail of the two houses, the Butleys' brick house and the Del Valles' paneled house, are superb, from the moss and vine growth to the giant oak tree that drapes over top. The backyard marble sitting area in the Butley's yard is a bit cramped, making it difficult for the actors to maneuver around the plants and the benches. It may be intentional to exemplify the Butleys' excess and gardening ignorance, which it does, but I don't know how much it really helps when we could have actors not having to dance around set pieces to get to their marks. Native Gardens is a solid comedy of generational conflict. I think the message of dissonance between generations and how entitlements from each side can get in the way of neighborly friendship is forward and cleverly written. I wish Zacarias had come up with a more satisfying ending and that the performances were a bit more tempered at times. But I am only one man's opinion, so be sure to leave yours in the comments below. If you'd like to see Native Gardens, I'll leave a link in the description where you can get tickets. Also in the description will be links to my Patreon and Spotify pages, as well as my social media pages where you can support my work. You can also support me by liking and sharing this video, subscribing to the channel, and clicking the notification bell to be alerted to future reviews. My next review will be the new off-Broadway production of Curse of the Starving Class. Thank you for watching, and I will see you at the theater.